My name is Scarlett, and I am currently 26 years old and unmarried. I haven't pursued a career at a company. Since my middle school days, I tended to be somewhat of a recluse, spending most of my time indoors. Although I enrolled in high school, I eventually dropped out, so my highest educational attainment is middle school graduation. I've been living with my parents ever since, taking up part-time jobs and occasionally accepting work opportunities found online. My older brother, Michael, who is 3 years my senior, is quite the opposite of me. He excels in sports, has many friends, and fits the stereotype of an outgoing extrovert. Interestingly, my brother prefers to keep my existence as his sister a secret from others. He never brings friends home, and even if I happen to run into him and his friends at a convenience store, he pretends not to recognize me. I've come to accept this as a matter of course, almost as if it were someone else's business. When my brother went off to college and started living independently, I stopped worrying about such things altogether. One day, I heard that he was getting married. Considering he's 29 years old, it wasn't surprising. Later, my brother and his fiancée were scheduled to visit our family home. Since I was there at the time, I decided to be present as well.
Mom, Dad, I'm home.
My brother entered the house right on time. However, when he noticed me sitting alongside our parents, his expression briefly showed confusion. Without noticing my brother's attitude, his fiancée followed suit.
Thank you for having us.
And then she, too, seemed puzzled when she looked at me. I could tell she was silently asking my brother, "Who is this?" It appears my brother hadn't informed her about my existence. When our mother introduced herself and our father, she conveniently left me out of the introductions. The fiancée smiled politely, but her curiosity lingered. Our parents chose not to introduce me at all. My parents always treated me with a strict attitude compared to my accomplished brother. When I was younger, they would say, "Michael can do it. Why can't you?" However, as I grew older, their perspective changed. Eventually, they started making hurtful comments like, "You're a money drain." Even during this family gathering, my parents seemed intent on not introducing me. When my mother got up to make tea, she leaned in close to my ear and whispered,
"Why are you even here? You should stay holed up in your room."
Despite my desire to get along with my family, attending this gathering seems to have backfired. Nevertheless, I couldn't abruptly leave my seat, so I remained there as the awkwardness settled in. The woman who is my brother's fiancée introduced herself as Sophia. She is also 26 years old, like me, but exudes an elegant aura, a beautiful woman with an air that discourages casual conversation. My brother seemed slightly irritated, perhaps because he disliked my presence. As my brother introduced Sophia to my parents, he completely ignored me. It was as if I were an invisible bystander. After the initial wedding-related discussions concluded, casual chatter began. Yet, my brother continued to ignore me. Then, Sophia turned to me and asked,
Scarlett, what do you usually do?"
Before I could respond, my brother interjected, saying,
Wait, Sophia. You don't need to talk to her.
His words were clear and direct. Sophia appeared surprised. My mother chimed in.
Exactly. Don't worry about it.
Even my father joined in, saying,
Yeah, don't mind her. She's just a stranger, who is blood-related, after all.
When my father uttered those words, something inside me shifted. A stranger, huh? So reconciliation was impossible from the start. That's what I thought. And so, this gathering concluded, a meeting where my presence hardly mattered. Soon after, my brother and Sophia got married and began building a house to live in together. My brother, having graduated from college, works for a renowned company. Despite still being in his 20s, his income appears substantial. Sophia, on the other hand, has decided to be a full-time homemaker and has left her previous job. As their new home neared completion, we received an invitation to a housewarming party. The guest list was limited to Sophia's relatives and my brother's company superiors. My mother, a bit flustered, wondered aloud.
Oh, it's already finished? Time flies. I need to prepare a housewarming gift. What would be suitable?
There's no need for anything extravagant because we're family.
He absent-mindedly flipped over the invitation. To my surprise, only my parents' names were listed. Mine was conspicuously absent. My mother seemed to notice but still asked.
Scarlett, you'll be going too, won't you?
I wondered what her intentions were. After all, even during that initial meeting, she pretended not to know anything about me. I don't need to go. I wasn't even invited.
No, you're going. I'll make sure of it.
My mother insisted, and against my wishes, I found myself attending the party. On the day of the party, it was raining. My parents and I took a taxi to my brother and Sophia's house. Since it was raining, my brother and Sophia didn't come out to the garden. Instead, they welcomed the guests at the front door. As soon as we arrived at their house, my mother turned to me and said,
You'll cover the taxi fare, won't you?
She got out of the car with my father before I could respond. Without umbrellas, they both hurriedly made their way to the entrance. So that's why, I thought, understanding the situation. Our house and my brother's place were quite a distance apart. Yet, taking a taxi seemed extravagant to us. I had that thought. I had been called to pay for the ride. After settling the bill, I jogged toward the entrance.
Who are you?
It seemed she had forgotten me, considering we had only met once. I introduced myself, saying, I'm Scarlett, Michael's sister. But Sophia casually replied,
Oh, the high school dropout NEET. We don't invite freeloaders who cling to their parents.
She said it with a smile. My brother, who had returned from guiding someone inside, joined us. And then he sneered at me, saying,
Why are you even here?
Hey, Michael. I told you not to invite her. Why is she here?
Well, I'm not sure either. It's a mystery.
My brother clearly didn't want me there. Somehow, Sophia's attitude had changed too, worse than my brother or parents. Maybe I shouldn't have come? I asked my brother cautiously. He replied,
Yeah. You're just a stranger with low education.
And technically, high school dropout doesn't even count as education. Could you leave the premises, please?
Sophia said it with a smile, but her calm expression made it all the more chilling. Understood. I turned on my heel. The taxi we arrived in had disappeared, and since it wasn't on a main road, finding another one seemed unlikely. I had no umbrella. In the rain, I trudged away. From behind, I heard Sophia's mocking laughter. After returning home, my parents, who seemed to have enjoyed themselves, arrived. As soon as my father saw my face, he asked,
Why did you suddenly leave?
We couldn't even call a taxi for the return trip. You're useless.
She casually threw complaints my way. I quickly made up an excuse. Sorry, I suddenly had a stomach ache.
You left just because of that? You're impossible. You'll give them the congratulatory gift another time. After all, you're an adult.
Speaking of which, I had prepared something to give at the party, but I ended up bringing it back home. I considered mailing it, but I didn't know their address. While I could have asked my parents, the atmosphere made it awkward. So, I decided to contact my brother via his phone. I messaged him. I'd like to send a congratulatory gift. Could you share your address?
I don't give my address to a stranger.
His reply was curt. I sighed. Was he secretly enjoying this power play, invisible to everyone else? It was exasperating. Perhaps he wasn't the only one behind the messages. Maybe Sophia, too, laughed alongside him, watching the whole charade. Either way, it was utterly pointless. And so, I gave up on sending the congratulatory gift. After some time, I decided to leave home. The catalyst was that family gathering for my brother's wedding and the housewarming party. It had become clear that getting along with my family was no longer feasible. I resolved to live independently. Although I didn't hold a regular job, I had saved money from part-time work. I managed to rent a place for myself. However, my financial situation was precarious, so I decided to start video streaming during my free time. Since I had always enjoyed watching live streams, I was curious about how popular streamers monetized their content and increased their viewership. Starting my own live streams, I gradually earned a few $100s per month. As my audience grew, my income increased further, allowing me to cover my living expenses. With the surplus funds, I ventured into investments. My investment endeavors went well, and I eventually started a small business importing and selling home goods. Despite the busy schedule, each day felt fulfilling. Unlike my family, who used to criticize my constant computer use, I faced no complaints. Several months later, I received a call from my parents, our first contact since I left home.
We want you to financially support Michael.
Why? I was puzzled and asked. What had happened to the person who had recently built a new house? My parents hesitantly explained that my brother had been hosting frequent parties at their new home. He interacted with various people, including superiors, executives, and acquaintances of Sophia. It seems that someone approached him with an investment opportunity, and my brother ended up trusting this person's word. He was taken in by the promise of making a quick profit in a few months and, unfortunately, it looks like he wasted a substantial amount of money. I sighed. Despite having a stable job, my brother's impulsive decision was disappointing. Who was this person recommending the investment? Could it be a scam?
No, it was someone Sophia knows.
My parents seemed to trust Sophia implicitly. When I inquired about the amount needed, I was taken aback. It was a sum beyond what an ordinary employee could easily provide. Is this money genuinely only for Michael? I asked cautiously. As expected, my parents confirmed.
We were also introduced to the same investment opportunity.
They looked uncomfortable. I can't easily come up with that much money. I'm sorry, I said, attempting to unilaterally end the call. But then my parents clung to me.
Aren't we family? Help us out in times like this.
Family? Why now? I'm sorry, but I'm busy. Besides, I'm just a stranger, right? With those words, I hung up the phone. A few days later, my parents, Michael and Sophia, unexpectedly showed up at my company's office. I was in the middle of a business meeting when my secretary informed me.
There's a visitor to see you, President.
Confused, As I hadn't scheduled any other appointments, I asked, "Who are they?"
They said they're your family.
My heart sank. For now, I apologized to the client who had come for the business meeting and told them that I would be stepping away from the table for a moment. When I went out to the reception, there stood Sophia, visibly pregnant, alongside my brother, my parents. My brother smirked and commented,
So, you're running a company now? Well, it's much smaller than where I work.
His grin unnerved me as he scrutinized my office. I maintained a formal tone and asked, "May I inquire who you are?"
What's with that attitude?
My brother lost his temper and raised his voice, but my mother intervened and began explaining.
We discussed this earlier. We need a little financial support. As the president, surely you can manage that?
Exactly. It's a crucial time for family. Sophia is expecting.
The child's health isn't great, and we need to consult a good doctor. Please, Scarlett.
My father and Sophia joined forces, creating an atmosphere where it seemed only natural for me to pay off their debts. The reception area, which served as the office entrance, occasionally caught the attention of passing employees who looked concerned. Eager to send these people away, I said, "Please leave. You're causing a disturbance." My brother erupted again, shouting,
What? You call this a disturbance? We came all the way here, and that's how you talk to family?
His outburst drew the attention of other employees. In a fit of rage, my brother addressed the onlookers.
Do you all know? This person is a high school dropout. A shut-in neat.
His intention seemed clear, to shame me into paying up. However, the unexpected responses from the employees caught him off guard.
We know.
We're aware of her background.
I'm the same. She has hired many people with similar backgrounds.
Is there a problem?
It seems that my brother, who usually associates only with highly educated and high-income individuals, was caught off guard. He stammered. Instead, my father stepped in.
A gathering of neats, huh? This company must be worthless.
My brother echoed my father's sentiment, shouting,
Exactly. A company that deals with such a company is no good either.
Just then, the president of one of our business partners emerged from the reception room, likely drawn by the raised voices. My brother's face turned pale as he recognized the president. Sophia, noticing his distress, asked,
What's wrong, Michael?
Don't mention my name.
My brother muttered to Sophia in a hushed tone. But it was too late. The president approached my brother directly, saying,
Michael? Ah, it's definitely you.
The president's gaze bore into my brother's face.
You're the one who always tags along with Mr. Brown, right? We've benefited from your company.
The president's company was also a client of my brother's company. The president's firm tone left my brother flustered. Attempting to save face, my brother stammered.
Well.
The president cut him off, saying,
Ah, yes, I remember now. Not exactly a memorable company, though.
My brother's face flushed, and he fell silent. My parents and Sophia exchanged uneasy glances. Ignoring them, I turned to the president and apologized once more. I apologize for taking up your valuable time. Please allow me to take care of these people.
Oh? Is that so? I have time today, so I don't mind waiting. Prioritize your family conversation.
No, they're not family. I glanced at my parents and brother and Sophia. They're complete strangers. Afterward, my parents and brother and Sophia were escorted out of the company by security guards. Perhaps taken aback by the exchange with the president, they left quietly. As it turns out, I investigated why my work became known, and the culprit was Sophia. Apparently, she has an acquaintance who's well-versed in investment-related information and always keeps their antennae up. During a conversation with this person, the topic came up. There's a woman in her 20s who blossomed as a trader and now runs her own company. When Sophia saw the photo of this woman in the media, she was shocked. It was none other than her sister-in-law, the high school dropout NEET. Sophia shared this revelation with my brother and parents, attempting to solicit financial support. Since I'm busy during the day and have avoided returning their calls about money matters, they decided to storm into my office. Having been treated as a complete stranger by my family, I had resolved not to get involved anymore. However, my curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to hire a private investigator to look into Sophia. It turns out that Sophia's acquaintance is her ex-boyfriend, someone she's still connected to. Interestingly, Sophia's unborn child isn't my brother's. It's actually the child of her ex-boyfriend. The investigation results were shared with my brother. My brother was utterly crestfallen. After all, everything had been a lie. Furthermore, it seems that Sophia's ex-boyfriend had manipulated several other men into giving him money. Naturally, my brother and Sophia divorced. As for Sophia, she's currently dealing with the police alongside her ex-boyfriend. However, lost money doesn't come back immediately. Since the incident at my company, my brother's position worsened, and he was transferred to what's colloquially known as a sidelined department despite his 20s. The office buzzed with rumors, making it uncomfortable for him, and he eventually resigned. Perhaps due to frustration over the financial loss and troubles surrounding my brother, my father lost his temper with a subcontractor representative at work, leading to disciplinary action by the president. Additionally, my father's overall work attitude had issues, resulting in his dismissal. Just like he used to tell me, being a high school graduate or middle school graduate is worthless, or you're not considered a person unless you attended a prestigious university. It seems that my brother and father have both lost their jobs. My family, now ex-family, whose income sources vanished, still contacts me, suggesting we live together. Fortunately, they're banned from entering the company building, so they won't show up uninvited.
We're still family, after all.
My mother insists. But my response remains consistent. I don't know. We're strangers. I won't entertain any other replies.
As for this story, how did you find it? If you enjoyed it, consider subscribing to my channel. Until next time.